How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about, I love this little picture, but kind of what's above the surface and what's below the surface. If we look at this line, this horizon line as being our reality, then everything that Esther was just talking about, in my opinion, is what happens above the surface. If you can imagine being on that iceberg, on the tip of that iceberg, you're looking around, you're seeing these big mountains, you're seeing the big valleys, you're seeing all these things, and you may consciously know that there's a lot going on under the surface, that 90% of it's actually under the water. And you may know that, but what you perceive is just, I'm on this big mountain. Here's this mountain, and here's this valley, and here's this thing that I'm doing. And so when we look at metaphysics, when we look at The Secret, when we look at law of attraction, when we look at all these things, realistically, we're looking mainly at the top part of the iceberg. These are the things that I have been given the free will to decide what I want to think, what I want to say, what I want to attract into my life, what I want to do, all of these things. Which is great if I were the only person on the planet and God didn't exist. The challenge is the 90% that's under the water is everything and everyone else that we're co-creating this experience with. As my free will enters into your free will, all of a sudden, I'm not alone in my iceberg. If underneath the surface, previous to coming down in this life, I had a talk with my spirit guides and said, here are the people I want to connect with, here are the things that I want to do, and I want you to keep me on track to make sure that's going to happen. And then I get down here on my little mountain, and I say, oh, I want to go over this way, and my guides keep pushing me. No, dude, you need to come over here. You need to come over here. No, my free will, I'm attracting all this stuff. Why do I keep going in this direction? Why is this way really easy, but I want to be over this way? Because there's our guides going, hey dude, you made me promise. You made me pinky swear. Come on, back over this way. Right? Down there is where all of this other stuff exists, the collective unconscious that we're all creating as a bubble inside of this church, inside of this town, inside of this county, inside of this country, inside of this planet. And so when you take my free will, my mountain, along with your mountain, along with your mountain, and your mountain, and your mountain, we start to have a little mountain range, which is pretty cool. And together we can have a more dramatic impact on our mountain range than we can on just our little mountain. The challenge is, there's what, 6 billion mountains on this planet? Who are all creating and co-creating different stuff that are all connected. But most of the time we don't see it because that's below the surface. Our subconscious mind is oftentimes below the surface. If inside I say, I want to experience this thing, but my subconscious mind says, that thing's bad, don't do it, then you got a challenge with building that mountain a little bit. If inside I say, my conscious mind I say, I want to be rich, and somewhere in our subconscious mind we say, oh, rich people are bad, they're evil, they're controlling, they're manipulative, money's bad, it does this, root of all evil, blah, blah, blah. And we've got 1,000 things telling us no, and one thing, our mind telling us yes. that can cause conflict. When it causes conflict, then we end up not getting what we wanted, which is why even though there were hundreds of millions of people that watched The Secret, and hundreds of millions of people who sat in their chair with their hand around an imaginary steering wheel and pumping the imaginary gas, that not all of us are driving our dream car. And some of us are driving really close to our dream car as far as we could realize I would allow this, I could accept this, I could understand how this could happen. Below the surface, we can get glimpses into below the surface. We can go see someone like Mary, a hypnotherapist, that says, help me access my subconscious mind. And if the programs that are running are in alignment with what my conscious mind says it wants, rock on. And if it isn't, help me tweak it. The same way that I don't understand how my car works. If it starts to break or backfire or sputter, I take it to someone who knows. I take it to a mechanic and say, help me out. And they go, oh yeah, this is my playground, no problem, I got this fixed. I just struggled with that for months, years. Same thing with the subconscious mind. Same thing, the reason why we have a card party on Fridays. The same reason we work to develop our intuition is to get a glimpse below the surface. A glimpse into God's world that says, ooh, here's some things I need to look at. Here's some things that are really going on. Also, below the surface is always trying to, just like the waves lap up on the mountain, the other side is always trying to connect with us. God is always trying to connect with us, our guides, our angels, folks that have crossed over already. All of these folks, all this energy are trying to connect with us. And then it comes to our free will, whether we're going to allow that, whether we're going to take action on that. Earlier this week, Mike was driving down the road in Georgia, a 2-lane highway, in a group with, was it 4 other trucks?
3 other trucks.
3 other trucks, cruising down the road. And comes to this exit, which would take him the long way around, that he never, ever, ever takes. And a little voice in his head said, dude, you need to turn. No, I don't want to, that's the long way around. Dude, you need to turn. No, 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 that doesn't make sense, I'm going this way. Dude, you need to turn. And at the very last second, he turned, as he told the story to me this morning, and even took the corner a little faster than he wanted to, because he didn't plan on turning, but he decided to listen to that voice in his head. 5 miles down the road, a trucker on the other side of the road fell asleep, crossed the median, crashed into the group of truckers that he was with, and all 5 died.
Oh.
That little voice in our head is the other side trying to listen, trying to talk to us, wanting our very best. And then it's up to us to 1, listen, and 2, take action based on what we heard. It's examples like what Mike walked through this week that we go, wow, this stuff is real. This isn't just philosophy or theosophy or these belief system things. This is real stuff. Earlier this week, on Thursday, we picked up the folks from the airport. I picked up the folks from the airport, brought them here to meet their granddaughter. It was all this exciting time. And my little empath daughter was picking up on a mom that was overtired and on something going wrong with my wife, and she was just freaking out. I was standing right about there, right in the entrance between the kitchen and the dining room, and Mary said, Scott, take Trinity, I'm leaking. Well, I'm thinking, milk. I'm thinking, it's no big deal, the folks will understand. And she says, no, take her now, I'm leaking. And I looked down and saw a pool of blood. And I took my daughter and my wife ran into the bathroom, and we called the midwife, and we just were freaking out. And the midwife said, basically, there's one of 2 possibilities. One, because your daughter's blood type is my blood type, anything that's left in there of hers is going to be recognized by Mary's body as being foreign, and it's going to get flushed. And this happens about a week, week and a half after somebody gives birth, completely normal and natural if it stops. If it's just a gush and that's it. If it's not, it's a hemorrhage and she'll be dead within 15 minutes. Oh, okay. All of a sudden, I wasn't on the top of the iceberg anymore. All of a sudden, I wasn't sitting back saying, with my wife bleeding, well, I wonder if I'm attracting this into my existence. God, I'm not in alignment with this outcome, so make a different one, please. I wasn't looking at any of those things. I was diving into the deep water. Hitting my knees saying, God, please help my wife. I don't want Mary to die. I don't want Trinity to know her mom only through the picture she had when she was holding her, when she was an infant. instantly I went to God, as I believe everybody in this room would. When major things happen, all of a sudden, this philosophy of only the top part of the surface, only the I think it, I say it, I become it, this is how the law of attraction works, this is how manifesting works, this is how blah, 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 which is great stuff. It's great, I'm not downplaying it, it's great stuff for the top of the iceberg because that's what we can control. And I think it's great stuff, but there's times that we need to go deeper than that because there is so much more going on. When we know that God absolutely loves us, and we need to ask, there's so much else going on that when we look at that part, that's where we start to give thanks. Because if everything was just the top part of the iceberg and everything in my existence I was 100% responsible for because it was based on my thoughts, my words, my deeds, that's it, and good things happen in my world, hey, that's all on me, I did that. And if something bad happens in my world, then I must have screwed up somewhere. And if it was something really bad, then I must have screwed up a lot. No. There is a purpose to everything because below the surface is where everything else and everyone else and God is. It's in that place that we all have free will, where my free will connects with everyone else's. Where the reason I am on this planet is here. The top part of the surface, it reminds us mainly of the circumstantial things, the quality of our finances, the quality of our relationships, the quality of our health, the quality of our surroundings, the quality of our circumstance, of our job, how we spend our day, all these really cool things that aren't the reason we're on the planet. None of us incarnated to say, I want to have this job and live in this house and make this income and these things that drive this car. You know, that top part of the iceberg is not the reason that any of us incarnated. That we chose to come out of angelic form and get packed into USDA and walk around in a spinning ball of mud. We didn't come down for that. Although it's important, and while we're here, we might as well make the best of it. And if we've been given these gifts of free will and the ability to attract and all these understandings, then heck yeah, let's use them. But there's something bigger going on. Maybe in 100 past lives, mixed in with my present life, I can get to know me pretty well. Maybe in 100 past lives, you can get to know you pretty well. Throughout all of these time and spaces, we create karmas. Karmas with each other. Karma, in Sanskrit, means action. Every time there's an action, there's a karmic episode. And so if I was hanging out with God, I'm buzzing around in heaven, I'm having a good time, and I look down the planet and I go, wow, there's like 20 people down there that I've got a ton of karma with, I want to go play with, I want to go balance this stuff. It's been weighing on me. And they're on the planet right now, I think, yeah, I want to go incarnate. And so God, I would beg, could I please have this gift of life to go walk around on that spinning ball of mud and hang out with those folks. And then I look around at my friends without bodies, because I don't have a body at that point. We're all spirits hanging out. Maybe a cup of coffee. Just, hey, look at the little... And I'm like, hey, dude, would you be my guide this time? I think that I've got this and this and this going on that plays right into your wheelhouse, man. That's right into your strengths. And you know me. You know how to poke my buttons. So if you could just kind of, not smack me around, but, you know, kind of put little bumpers on to steer me in this direction, because right now in my connection to absolutely everything, here's the list of all the stuff I want to accomplish, and as soon as I'm like little Trinity and I'm put into a body, I'm going to forget it all. But you won't, so here's this list, and if you could hook me up, man, half my back, that would really rock. And if you need help, there's all these folks here that have decided to help me out too. So even though you're my main guide, there's all these other guides, all these other angels that'll help you out, because I know me and I'm stubborn, dude. And God, thank you for making all this happen. There's going to be times I'm going to forget you there, and there's other times I'm going to call on you, and I'm going to need you, I'm going to need you, I'm going to need you. This is all the stuff below the surface. The challenge with living only on the peak, with living only what's above the surface, what I can see, smell, touch, taste, the 5 senses that I put into my reality, is one, I'm in this thing alone. It's only based upon what I think, what I see, what I do, what I allow in my experience and my vibration. The second part is, the only gratitude there is to me. Because if it's good, I've done it. And if it didn't, if I got my butt kicked, then that's all my fault and I must have messed up somewhere. Even though down the road I can say there's a purpose to everything and everything has a purpose and all those things which are very true, I can assure you that the moment that Mary was bleeding this week, I wasn't thinking, well, honey, there's a purpose to everything. So if you cross, that'll be okay. And if I feel, as Abraham said, sadness, it means that I am in disaccord with my gap between what I think and what I want. So I must squeeze that gap together and not feel anything. Say hi to God for me. Take her easy. That wasn't my experience at all. Not even a little bit. Had she crossed, at some point it would have been. Because at some point when I wasn't in that moment, I would have needed to make sense of things. I would have gone below the surface, asking God, asking my angels, asking Mary's Spirit, why this, why that, why this, why that? And as these little bits of insight came together, a little portion of that below the surface would start to make more sense. And as it started to make more sense with it would come a peace. But in that moment, I wasn't looking for peace. In that moment, I was a kid begging his dad, please help. If it's A or B, please make it be A. And thank goodness it was A. With Mike and his trip, that wasn't where he wanted to go. Didn't want to go down that road. That was the long way. Well, sometimes the long way is the short way. In life, we try to look at the shortest distance between 2 points, saying, if I am in line with my spiritual path, this is where I go. And if I find myself meandering off over here, then I'm doing something wrong. What I learned from Mike's experience is no. The long way can be the short way. Because I guarantee you, if he'd have stayed on the short way, he still wouldn't have been at his destination. It's taking the time to ask God. It's taking the time to listen to God. It's taking the time to take action in what we feel inside we're being guided by God to do. Because even though we have control over that top part of the iceberg, we can influence that directly. That's my own little island. That's your own little island. Looking at the perspective, how much of that is mine, how much of that is God's? How much of that is on this side of the veil that I can experience with these senses? How much is on that side of the veil that takes the other senses to try to connect with? Now as we back up even further, we see that it's all the same chunk of ice. The only separation is where that water line might happen to be in that particular moment. Our perception of separation. This is above the water, this is below the water, it's the same iceberg. As I embrace this perspective, it allows me to, rather than, if it's good, I did good, if it's bad, I screwed up. Instead, as I look at the whole iceberg, I can say, I'm not the only person influencing my iceberg. God is, my guides are, my angels are. Every person that I choose to come in contact with who exercises their own free will also is changing and sculpting my reality with me. And because they are, because it wasn't just me attracting that in, it was also you connecting with me connecting with you, that I can say thank you for the part that you bring to my life that would be absent without you there. Thank you for all the prayers that you've answered, and thank you for all the prayers that you haven't. I can also say, thank me for asking the question and for listening, for doing my part. I love metaphysics. I love the New Thought movement. I love how there's accountability into our lives, responsibility taken for the choices that we make. I love that. Because the old paradigm of thought was God deciding everything for you, and God either loved you or hated you. And that never really gelled with me. And so a lot of the New Thought movement, that did gel with me. Because if I think murderous things and I watch murderous things and I go commit murderous things, that's going to take me on a whole different path than what God might have chosen. If I choose to think happy things and talk happy things and put happy things into my mind and my consciousness through the books that I read, the movies I watch, the things that I do, how I spend my day, and I attract more happiness, more joy into my life, then that is cause and effect how I can move this little mountain over to that little mountain. I can reshape some of my universe, some of my reality. But there are things that happen with us, for us, and through us that are not something we would choose. And that doesn't mean that we did anything wrong, and it doesn't mean that God doesn't like us, and it doesn't mean any of those things. It means there is so much more going on that we can't see. We have the ability to get glimpses of that through prayer, through meditation, through intuition. So I invite everyone this week, first, foremost, give thanks to God for everything that's in your life. Because without God, it wouldn't be. Next, give credit to the people around you who are adding to your reality. Give credit to yourself for every way that you find to give, to positively impact someone else's iceberg, someone else's reality. It's in those moments that we step outside of our us and into the you that says, I am helping to make this better. Suddenly my little wings are starting to unfold. Those same folks that are angels for us when we need it is the same angel that we can be for someone else. And giving gratitude, giving great gratitude for those people, those things, those experiences. And with that, we begin to struggle less against life, seeing more in the harmony of how the whole thing works in together. When's the last time that any of us just sat down and had a good conversation where we thanked our spirit guide? Not asking for guidance, not asking for, just, dude, you had a rough job, man. I know that I am one thick-headed dude, and I know that when I get my mind made up, and I've known the gentle nudges, and I've known the bigger pushes, and I've known the spiritual 2x4, and I've known all these things that you've done for me to help keep me on track. That you're not doing to me. I gave you the list of what I wanted to accomplish. Thank you, God, for everything you do and everything that you've given, the people showing up at just the right times in my life. Thank you. It's in this place that gratitude comes in. And it all begins to make sense together. With that, we'll turn the time over to Mary.